We have our first New York Mets signing to talk about as Marcus Stroman is coming back for the 2021 season after accepting the qualifying offer. In this video, I'm going to talk about what the Marcus Stroman deal means for the Mets, not only this year, but going forward, the pros and cons of it, and what else the Mets still have to do after having Marcus Stroman re-sign. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, what do you think about Stroman's decision to take the qualifying offer? And what do you think the Mets also have to do? Because one of the main things about this is that their rotation will be a little better, but there are still more rotation spots that still need to be filled in. So I'm curious to think, what do you think the Mets will do and should do for the rest of those rotation spots? And as always, you get the subscribe button. Only a few subscribers away from 100. I know it's a small milestone, but gotta start somewhere. So I really appreciate the support I've gotten lately. Let's get into the Stroman news. So we knew that today was the deadline for will Stroman stay, will Stroman go? And I was very on the fence about what I thought he was going to do. I tweeted and I believe that he should accept it because there is still more to be proven with him. I think that throughout his career, Marcus Stroman has had his ups, he's had his downs. He's had good years and bad years. He's had all-star years and years where he's been pretty disappointing. And even with the Mets, we saw that because when New York Mets first acquired him, he wasn't that great. He was a drastically different pitcher in his first few starts as Met compared to his last few starts. His last few starts, he was really, really good. And that's what he's supposed to be. You know, that is why the Mets made the trade for him. They didn't make trade for him to be a bad pitcher. They expect him to be a really good pitcher, right behind Jacob deGrom, behind Noah Syndergaard. Boom. They have Marcus Stroman right in the middle of that rotation. He's a really good piece there. I feel like that is where Marcus Stroman is perfect because he's not a Jacob deGrom or Trevor Bauer A status, but I think that put him right in the middle of a rotation, that's a really good spot for him. And he's better than a lot of number threes out there or number twos, whatever you want to consider him as of right now. But I think that for Stroman, being that he did not pitch last year because of the injury and opting out, we don't really know exactly how good he fully is because, like I said, he's had good years and bad years. It's not somebody like deGrom who has been consistent every year or some of these other pitchers that you know, all right, this is a good pitcher because they are good every single year. They don't have this many inconsistencies. There's been too much of that for Stroman. So I think that also probably the main reason why he decided to stay, one of the main reasons, was the market. And we know that with teams letting players go, declining options, not giving the perception that they're going to spend a whole bunch of money, makes it seem like, you know what, no one's going to be giving Stroman a crazy multi-year contract. And I think that if you decline the qualifying offer, because here's the thing about the qualifying offer, it's a pretty generous offer, honestly. $18.9 million, basically $19 million. That's a solid deal, you know, that's more than most players get. So I think that's not, you know, chump change. That's a pretty good offer. So first of all, you know, I'm at least getting $19 million, and then we'll see what happens because this is what I tweeted. If Stroman is as good as he says he is, and Stroman always talks about how good he is, take the qualifying offer. Go off this year. Be great. Have an all-star year. Show that you're an ace-level pitcher. Not a number two, not a number three. Show that you're an ace, that you would be worth a crazy contract. And if he pitches that good, I'll be the first one saying Mets should sign this guy long-term, give him a big-time deal. He showed what he can do. And, you know, Mets had success, so we definitely got to bring him back. But if Stroman is inconsistent and he doesn't get the job done, I'm going to say, all right, had 1 year, let him walk. That's what I like about this deal for the Mets. I love short-term deals. I don't like long-term deals because it opens this possibility of bad things happening going forward because you see so many contracts in baseball and all these sports where first couple years guy is really good, then all of a sudden they fall off, nowhere near the same player, injuries or something weird happens and they're not the same guy. They get older. You know, Stroman's turning 30 now, so he isn't 25 or 26. So you feel like with pitchers they age a little differently, but you always have got to have that concern with any player, especially once they hit 30, is that you know that their best years are most likely behind them. So if you sign Stroman to a 5-year or 5-year plus deal, that would be a big red flag considering how inconsistent he's been so far. So my thing is that if Stroman has a great year, you can re-sign him. If he doesn't, just let him walk. That's it, you know? So I think that for the Mets, this helps them this year. And then based on how it goes, they can decide what they want to do going forward. But the big important thing is what else are they going to do? Because as of right now in the rotation, you have deGrom, you have Stroman, and you have David Peters. Still have 2 more spots to fill in. So who will fill in those spots? A obvious candidate for at least one of them for now is Seth Lugo. This is something I've been thinking about today is that we know that Noah Syndergaard should be back whether it's June or July, sometime in the middle of the season. So that would technically give you 4 pitchers. And what I'm thinking and what I like is Lugo starts the year in the rotation until Syndergaard comes back. Once Noah comes back, Lugo has to go back to the bullpen because the Mets need the bullpen help because, I mean, there still is a lot of work to be done here. And I think a really, really good sign is what happened yesterday. The fact that Marcus Stroman tweeted that after watching Steve Cohen's press conference, he really wanted to play for him, that's a big deal. The other thing that Sandy Alston said that, you know what, following the press conference, we had a player reach out to us, say, you know what, the agent, let's make sure that we talk to the Mets, that you see that more players are getting interested in this franchise because of who is running it now. It is different ownership. It's a different mentality. You know, there's going to be a lot of things different about this team. So more people are interested in them, and they know that the Mets have the money to give them. That's always a deciding factor for a lot of players, and understandably so. You know, I mean, that's what it's about, is making money. So I get that. And it's just very interesting that the way when Sandy Alston was asked about Trevor Bauer and WFAN, he had a lot of really nice things to say about it and was very open about Bauer, which I wasn't expecting because for the most part, Sandy is pretty good, keeping things on the hush-hush, not saying too much. He'll say something, but doesn't really mean anything. You can't really get something out of it. But the way he just completely glowed about Bauer, saying about how good he is, about his personality, about how it fits, you know, because that's one thing we've heard a lot about Trevor Bauer is we'll hear people say, oh, well, the way he is on social media, how will teams react to his personality? Would they want that kind of commitment? But the way Sandy said that they would kind of embrace that as long as it's not detrimental to the clubhouse, which I understand, that is very interesting. And the fact that Bauer tweeted about it, that his agent Rachel Luba tweeted about it, Bauer and his people know that they like the Mets, and they're definitely Mets are on their radar. And that's a big thing because I wasn't sure if Bauer was going to look at the Mets because I know they have the money, but you may just not want to be a Met. Like, I understand that. That's definitely been a thing in the past, but so far there is interest there. So now I think it should be a matter of, are the Mets going to give Bauer what he wants? As far as years and money are concerned, that's really going to be the deciding factor because, you know, sometimes we'll hear like with the really miserable, oh, he's not keen on playing in New York. Bauer said in his tweet about what people have said about his personality being in New York and in that kind of market, about how it might not work out. And you know what? He tweeted about it, so he shows that he understands what the perception is and that he feels that he could change that. So it's obvious that there is interest in that department. So now it's just going to be a matter of the Mets. Are they going to meet their requirements? And I don't know how many years Bauer is asking for. That's the main concern to me because, again, once again, it's not my money as always, but I think that whatever Bauer wants per year, as long as it's not too crazy, I think you could do that. But if he want, like I said, that 5-year plus, not concerned. If Bauer wants 3 years, maybe even 4 years, I'll take that deal. But if it's above 5, I might have to say no because I just think that going forward, if Bauer's 36, 37, is he still that good? I'd rather do like 4 with a team option or 5 with a team option because then we get to decide, like, if Bauer is still dominating, then it's like, all right, we could keep him because pitchers can age, but it doesn't always necessarily happen that way. And similar to Stroman, Bauer has inconsistencies too. I know he is probably going to win the Cy Young and all that, but you have to remember, this was a 2-month season. And don't forget that in one of the years that DeGrom won, it looked like Hyun-Jun Ryu was the runaway Cy Young candidate. But then in the second half, he was not the same pitcher. So pitchers can be like that. Like, they have their good months and they have their bad months. Not saying that Bauer wasn't going to finish with a great year. He very well could have. But don't forget that that does happen and that Bauer's career ERA is closer to 4 than it is to 3. So also keep that in mind, that he is not necessarily this guarantee every single year he's Cy Young caliber. That has not been the case with Trevor Bauer. We definitely have got to keep that in mind. Is he entering his prime now? Probably. Right after winning the Cy Young. Makes sense. So I do want him, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't necessarily give him, he hasn't shown me that he's worth a 7-year deal or 6-year deal because he's been too consistent in his career also, very similar to Marcus Stroman. So it definitely still is more work to be done. The other thing that's really important, like I said, is the bullpen because, like, let's just say somehow the Mets do give Bauer what he wants. And if you were to have DeGrom, Bauer, Stroman, David Pearson, and Lugo/Syndergaard, that's a really, really good rotation right there. But now you also need the bullpen behind it. And so far, all you have is Edwin Diaz and Dellin Betances. That's not going to get it done. The Mets need a lot more than that. I mean, a lot more than that. Because like I've said before, in the playoffs, you'll see these teams use a ton of pitchers in playoff games, in closeout games. And the Mets do not have that many arms that they could trust. Don't forget, Justin Wilson is a free agent right now. So that's another arm that the Mets have lost in the bullpen. Probably one of their best arms, you know, that isn't named Edwin Diaz or Seth Lugo. As far as the bullpen is concerned, I want to see Chasen Shreve still be on this team. I want to see Erasmo Ramirez get another shot because those guys showed me something. Other than that, there has to be more to be done. It can't be Jared Hughes. It probably can't be Brad Brock. You know, they have to have better pitchers than that in this bullpen. Whether it's Brad Hand, whether it's Liam Hendricks, whether it's Alex Colomé, whether it's Shane Green. There's a lot of pretty good relievers out there right now. So I do want to see the Mets try to get one of those guys. You know, Brad Hand would definitely be a nice one, like I've said before, because he is lefty. I really prefer him. Liam Hendricks is a beast. I'd be willing to pay him wherever he wants. Again, not my money. Hendricks is someone I have no concerns about, where I'm like, you know what, I'll give him the long-term deal just because he's been so effective year after year after year. You don't see him have bad years. So Hendricks is someone that the Mets really need, and I would love to get him. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I feel like the Mets are more focused on the Bauer, on the Real Muto, on the Springer. As of right now, the Mets need Real Muto more than they need Springer. I think the Mets could get away with having bad outfield defense, moving guys over, whether it's still putting Nimmo out in center field and having Conforto in a corner. And then, as I said before, the other corner could be J.D. Davis, could be McNeil, could be Dom Smith. So you have options in the outfield. In catcher, you have zero options. That's why I just have to take Remus over Springer or James McCann, either one, because the Mets just have nothing for catcher. They have, you know, even though the outfield wouldn't be perfect, they still could get by. The Mets cannot get by with what they have behind the plate. Absolutely not. With Ramos being on, no way in you-know-what. So the Mets needs to get at least one more starting pitcher, because if you could give me DeGrom, Stroman, Peterson, Blank, and then Lugo/Syndergaard, I'll live with that. And I still would like more depth in the rotation in case somebody does get hurt or does not perform. Mets have to do a lot more for their bullpen, and they have got to get a catcher. That is the way things are looking right now. But the main takeaway for Stroman is that he's better than Rick Porcello, and he's better than Michael Wacha. Far too many times last year, the Mets had their starting pitcher only go 1 inning, 2 innings, and it really put their bullpen in a tough spot where they had to pitch a bunch of innings and overuse guys and tire them out, and he didn't have them for the next few days. So I think Stroman should be able to go deeper into games, and he should show that he is as good as a pitcher as he says he is, and I'm excited to see what he could do, and I'm excited to see what else the Mets are going to do. So until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and have a good one.